Welcome back to the Perfect Season Podcast. It's the Super Basic Podcast. Talks about everything, all things sports related, and absolutely nothing to do with my own cookies. My name is Alex. We're here with Antonio and Chef Frankie, fresh off of making a burger and some French fries, as he's chugging that water.
The fries are going to be done in 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nevertheless,
so just burger for now.
It's good to be back. I was on Jamar Chase's schedule. He was out. I was out. We're back. We're ready for a December to remember. It's the holiday season, and Deion Sanders is going to come to Cincinnati.
Well,
that won't happen.
That's just how loyal Frankie is when it comes to the Bengals. He was on the Jamar Chase schedule, but with all that being said, gentlemen, all 16 teams played for the first time since week 5?
Fries are done. Excuse me. I'm gonna go fetch some French fries.
Okay, you go fetch your French fries. We'll keep talking. Okay. So we had three Thanksgiving games. We always have 3 Thanksgiving games. Two of the teams that always play on Thanksgiving as of late.
The Lions should have won.
But Anthony, the thing is that when you say should have won, I mean, you come down to it, they didn't. And as much as it hates for me to say that,
that's why I'm picking Jacksonville this week to beat Detroit.
Detroit has certainly had a lot of
Detroit's shown improvement. Yes,
they've shown mid-season improvement, but you also have to realize something. Detroit in the last 4 games went 3-1, which is interesting. That's been something you'd never hear from Detroit, especially.
Yeah, I mean, what is almost beating Detroit's Buffalo in second place? I think.
Maybe. I have to check.
Yeah, because the Packers have fallen off the table.
Well, the Packers also played one more game because their bye week isn't until week 14. But I think I want to say that you're
the
right.
Bears.
But here's the thing, gentlemen. I want to say something about this. Buffalo is still 8-3 on the season. Is Buffalo kind of not meeting expectations? I mean, I know the common argument is
if you're at Buffalo,
Buffalo's lost 3 games with a combined point differential of 8. So 3 lost games, 8 total points lost by.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They struggled against Detroit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They're winning close games now. Their last 2 games have been close. I think that Minnesota game woke them up. They're 8-3. You really don't think they're 8-3, but they are. Now, I do worry about them not having Von Miller because that's a massive loss on the defensive side. For a defense that hasn't been as good as you would expect. But Josh Allen, the throws he made to Stephon Diggs in that fourth quarter were impressive. So, and let's not forget, Buffalo struggled middle of the season last year. End of the season, hottest team going into the playoffs. So that might be repeating itself this year.
Exactly, and that's something you always have to take in consideration when it comes to Buffalo. But the thing is that when you look at the Buffalo team from last year compared to this year, what's the major addition that Buffalo got this offseason? Von Miller. And he is out for the rest of the season. But Buffalo pretty much still has the almost exact same roster that they had last year, excluding maybe some smaller pieces and everything. But Buffalo is 8-3, second in the AFC East. I just want to put that out there. Second in the AFC East, 5th in playoff contention. But 8-3 is still not a bad record. That's currently tied for the second best record in the AFC right now, which is still pretty good. Buffalo is in. Do I see Buffalo missing the playoffs? Absolutely not. No. Buffalo will probably still make a deep playoff run, but it's just interesting to think about the fact that they are 8-3 when there were some people saying that Buffalo could go 15-2, 16-1, 14-3, which they could still go 14-3, but it's I'd say they're probably going to lose at least 1 or 2 more games.
But they've got the Patriots and the Jets coming up, so
not gonna lie,
which are not cupcake teams anymore.
No.
Mike White's taken over,
and the Jets have a win over them. Buffalo does not have a division win yet this season.
Buffalo is 0-2 in divisional standpoints, losing to Miami in week 3, and losing to the Jets a couple weeks ago.
They drop this game to New England on Thursday, they're in trouble.
If this is a big playoff implication because the Patriots are out of playoff contention at the moment, but they are 1 game back from making it in. Because they're 6-5.
Crazy.
And the last playoff team is the Jets and the Bengals, who are both 7-4 right now. So,
call me crazy. Mike White, if he wins this week, Mike White's the starter for the rest of the year.
I think Mike White should be the starter for the rest of the year.
He's the best
Zach Wilson.
Zach
Wilson's not a good quarterback.
Zach Wilson is acting like a child right now, and he needs.
I've never bought into Zach Wilson.
Absolutely not, and I'm glad that other people are finally seeing what's happening with him. So, Frankie looks a little surprised.
I think I'm.
There you go. Welcome back.
There you
I was
go.
frozen there for just a little bit.
Okay.
Why is it so zoomed in on your face?
Why is it zoomed?
Don't
in?
worry about that. But anyway, outside of that, Dallas
Well,
beating the
I mean,
Giants.
I'm not.
Dallas.
surprised.
I mean,
Oh, here we go.
I feel
Here
like
we go with Anthony.
everyone's
Here we
gonna
go.
say Dallas is a playoff team. They're getting
They are.
things together, but it's still not their
Anthony
year.
is like hoping and praying that Dallas just loses their last 6 games and misses the playoffs and finishes 8-9. I mean,
Which they could, but they're
they
not.
could,
going.
but they're not. Anthony, this team is 8-3 right now, and that's second in the NFC.
Yeah, I
East.
know that they're not winning the division
That's a given.
because
Is
Philly's.
it though?
It's not impossible
mean-
to say so, but as of right now, Eagles do have a 2.5 game advantage over the Cowboys.
All
Okay,
I'm saying is,
let me say this.
all I'm saying, the Cowboys will make the playoffs,
They will.
but
Do
I
the
don't
first
see them
round
going far.
Yeah,
No, you don't see them. You don't see them going far because we know Alice and the playoffs don't go well together.
No,
But
they're
let
choke
me-
artists.
No. Let me tell you all this. Last 2 weeks, Dallas has gone into Minnesota and won 40-3. That is
Yeah.
the best win of any team this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they beat the Giants on Thanksgiving on a short week. What they've proven the last 2 weeks, this team has a mettle and a toughness that previous Cowboys teams have not had.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. And who's Dallas? Well, okay, Dallas has another win this week. They play Indianapolis. But
Hey,
Why is that game?
and-
No. Why is that game in prime time? Can someone answer that question for me, please?
nobody knows because we all thought that Indianapolis was going to be better this year than they really are. All right, gentlemen, big question of
Well,
the
we all
week.
thought they were gonna. We all thought they were gonna have Frank Reich as their head coach.
Yeah, Matt Ryan was actually going to be something different than be put in a nursing home right now. Minnesota, New England, gentlemen, was that a catch and a touchdown?
What, Minnesota, New England?
I was working, so I haven't really.
I didn't. I
Okay.
didn't see the game.
Well, after this ends, take a
Let me
look
see.
at it.
Let me watch this because
Let
Wait,
me-
I didn't
I
see
would-
the game because I was
as Frankie watches it. Let me put it this way.
And I'm watching it too.
Hunter Henry.
let me see.
Hunter Henry catches the ball. He puts the ball.
You mean
over
Derrick
the end
Henry?
zone. No, Hunter Henry.
Oh,
Patriots.
close serve.
Catches the ball. Ball crosses the plane. However, the second that he hits the ground, the ball kind of like wavers a little bit, which is similar to a Travis Kelce catch that was called a touchdown
Oh,
a couple
on
weeks back.
Thanksgiving?
On Thanksgiving, Thursday night, primetime game. Primetime Kirk Cousins won a game
Well, this is hard.
Well, that's a
Live,
first.
it looks good live.
live. But when you get
Okay,
down
now
to
let me see
What, the
replay.
touchdown?
yes, was that a touchdown?
But no. Here's the thing, though. You have to complete the catch as you're going to the ground.
Mhm.
And if you're already in the end zone, whether you cross the goal line or not is basically out of the question.
Well,
I think that's a touchdown on the first replay. The second touchdown.
I'm watching the replay now.
okay.
Ooh. I'm saying touchdown.
That call was that was called an incomplete pass.
That
And the Patriots
I don't
lost.
agree with that. That
The Patriots
wow,
lost.
Does the
imagine
ball hit the
imagine
ground
that, a
first?
ball going against New England. When have we
Yeah,
seen
I know.
that?
First time in 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you know
I can't-
if Rob Gronk. Can you all hear my TV in the background, by the way?
No,
No.
Okay. So now if that was Gronk, that's a touchdown.
that'd be a touchdown.
The only reason I can say why they're not calling it a touchdown, he has to have full possession of the ball.
But the
And
thing
the
is, that,
ball
Anthony,
was-
in some interpretations of it, some players will have the ball over the end zone before they touch down, and they
Yeah.
call it a touchdown.
Okay, then
How many times have you seen a running back leap over the pile, have the ball
Yeah.
over the end zone, but then
Hold
by the
that thought.
time
I
they
gotta turn the oven off.
okay, but then by the time that
But-
they get pushed back, they hit the non-touchdown line, like the 1 or 2 yard line.
But what I'm saying also, if we're
Mhm.
talking about a no catch or catch, did you watch any of the War on I-4?
No,
So there's a controversial call at the end of the game. Frankie, I know you saw the end of the War on I-4, right?
Yes, that was not a touchdown.
That was not a touchdown.
No.
His foot was,
Knee hit out of bounds, and knee hit before the foot.
yeah, and they
That
called
should
it
have
a
been called.
touchdown.
That should have been called incomplete live. If we're being honest, that
Yeah.
should have been called
And
incomplete
USF
live.
should have won that game.
okay.
Should've.
So besides that,
Maybe Luke
let's
Fickell would
move
still be
on.
in Cincinnati.
let's move on. Next game we have on the list is probably one of the biggest upsets of the week, at least in my opinion. In terms of predictions, everybody said that this game was going to go one way, and it was the opposite. I'm talking about Tampa Bay versus the Cleveland Browns at
Embarrassing.
Cleveland.
It's
Absolutely
embarrassing.
embarrassing by the Tampa
Todd
Bay
Bowles
Bucs.
needs to be fired.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Anthony.
Yeah,
Listen,
embarrassing.
even more embarrassing, you're still in first place at the end of
Well, that division's the most weakest division there is out of
Correct.
all divisions. The
But you
winner
have
of that
no
division's going
you
to
have
go
no
8 or 9.
business losing to a Browns team
That was
who
3-7.
has a terrible defense, who is playing with a backup quarterback, and just the last 2 weeks got embarrassed in Miami and then lost to Buffalo on a neutral field. So, like, that's a game. If you're Tampa Bay, you win that game, you maybe get rolling. Tom Brady, 29 of 43 and 246 and 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, 26 carries, 116 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Tampa Bay's rushing. Did Leonard Fournette even play?
Leonard Fournette
No.
was out.
He was out.
Fournette was out. But this is
Rashad White was playing.
Rashad White's a
trouble
good
when
running back.
Julio Jones, your second leading rusher. You heard that correctly.
That's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
no, but you have all 3 timeouts, 32 seconds left, 4 down territory, and all you do, you play for overtime. You have all 3 timeouts.
Yeah, I don't like that decision.
I
That's
don't
not being
agree with that
aggressive.
call.
No.
Like,
If
how are
Bruce
you not being
Arians,
aggressive with Tom Brady?
if Bruce Arians was the coach of this team, 8-3, hands down.
But
He
no,
left Tampa.
no. But here's the
He
other thing. You
left
also have to
Tampa.
realize if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, you have to be a little bit excited. Your team is 4-7. Are you going to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. However,
Maybe next year.
you know who is coming back into the league starting this week?
Let's just refer to him as that.
That
Deshaun
guy,
is coming back.
that player is coming back, Anthony.
I think he's going to have a revenge game against Houston.
I really
Yeah,
hope
he'll
Houston
have a revenge
wins.
game against Houston, but not the next game against the Bengals. He's
No.
going to be rusty. You watch.
I really hope that Houston.
I think he
wins.
has one good game.
What do you say, Alex?
Everyone,
I said I hope Houston beats the Browns with Watson
Thank
coming
you.
home. I
That'd
hope
be
so.
poetic justice at its finest.
Wouldn't that be nice? All right, next game we had Cincinnati at Tennessee. A little bit of a
Yes.
nail biter. A little bit of a nail
Let
biter.
me show
However,
you. Let me show you. You
Oh,
see,
okay.
you see right here. You
Uh-huh.
see in the background.
oh
So
Lord.
this game, right here, Pearson went from 52 to send the Bengals to the AFC Championship game. All right, I was at that game somewhere on this side. All right, so fast forward to today. All right, yeah.
And it's very zoomed in.
Well,
don't worry about it.
yes.
Okay, just continue. Just continue.
I'm just going to continue, Anthony. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You go into Tennessee, and suddenly a light bulb just came on that had been out for a while. Anyway,
Oh,
so all week I heard how great Tennessee's defense was, and all week I heard about how are the Bengals going to stop Derrick Henry, and all I said was, more often than not, the team with the better quarterback is going to win. Well, guess who the better quarterback was on Sunday? Joe Burrow.
But I
Okay?
mean, but Frankie, you also have to realize at this game going in there, who's the better quarterback before the game even started?
It wasn't even close.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the playoff game proved that last year. But here's the thing, guys. They went into Tennessee, revenge game. The Titans were all out revenge. It's 10-3 in the second quarter. Bengals are committing way too many penalties. You know, Derrick Henry had that incredible run. Okay, here's the thing. They beat Tennessee without Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, and they beat Tennessee at their own game. Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times in the playoff game last year against the Titans. Do you know how many times he was sacked on Sunday?
I'm going to say 1.
1.
Ah!
You got it. One time. Here's the thing. And by the way, that catch by Trenton Irwin on 3rd and 12, and then T. Higgins, Mossing, Christian Fulton, that's 2 of the best throws Joe Burrow has
That's nice.
ever made in his career. And you
That's nice.
cannot prove me we'll just call it that.
Yeah.
2 of the best throws he's made. And the Bengals offensive line completely took Tennessee's defensive line out of the game. And here's the impressive thing. Derrick Henry had 17 carries. How many yards did he have?
Was it only in like the 30s or 40s?
38.
It's close.
and he's in contract here too.
But it's Derrick Henry. You know, it's
The
gonna
most
get renewed.
the most impressive thing was Mike Hilton with those 2 tackles for loss. Mike Hilton tackling Derrick Henry.
Not something you would ever be expecting. You got to
But-
say something, because here's the thing. Going into this game, there was a lot of things that were being thrown about there. And you could, Frankie, I know you can reference this at the beginning of the season. The first thing I always said, the Bengals' first 2 games, Joe Burrow getting sacked for a total of 15 times in the first 2 games alone is a very scary thought. Bengals, they're not looking too good at the beginning of the season, starting out what? We were 0-2 to start the first 2 games?
0-2.
0-2. Well, here's the thing.
0-2.
Ever since that start has happened, you've been 7-2. You completely turned around the season, and you know what? You beat the former first place AFC team last year. Pretty handily this week, and like
Yes.
you did last year as well. You replicated what you did in the divisional round, and you know what? You're playing the AFC Championship opponent that you played last year
Yeah.
this week against the Kansas City Chiefs.
And what's great, here's the thing: the offensive line is playing some dang good football.
They certainly have improved, and
Yes.
you know what? I'll tell you what. The Bengals offensive line is making me eat those words. I'll say that.
Yeah, like Ted Karras is emerging as the leader of this team.
It's about time.
Joe Burrow is. We know.
Of course, yeah, the leader of the offensive line.
Ted Karras is who CJ Uzama was last year. And I mean, did you see him coming off the field in Nashville on Sunday? He's screaming to the fans like, "That's the kind of guy I want on my team."
You like that energy. You love that energy. All right, next game, because I got to start speed running through some of these. Houston at Miami. Let's just keep it short and simple.
Nothing new here. Miami's really good.
Miami's going to
win
Houston
the
30-0 at a halftime. We finally pulled the starters, and then Houston finally scores. There's nothing much to say about
Miami. Does Miami beat Buffalo in Buffalo?
Probably not.
I'm not going to say no.
Probably not, but I wouldn't be.
It's a
surprised
60-40 shot.
My heart
This
says
Miami team is much more equipped to go into Buffalo than Miami teams in the past, though.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
my heart says yes, my brain says no, but we can always talk about that in a couple weeks.
I'll agree with that saying.
The Jets beating Chicago, Mike White taking over that game, similar to what he did last year.
Gentlemen.
Not shocked.
Not shocked.
You know where Mike White went to college, right?
All right, next statement.
Moving on.
Mike White went to USF.
Moving on.
Washington beating Atlanta in a game that I really didn't think Washington was going to win.
That's a first.
Washington,
if you're Atlanta, how are you not starting Desmond Ritter?
Exactly. At this point, Washington is 7-5 right now. Can you believe that?
Washington's making the playoffs.
When you're watching that Thursday night game against Chicago, that was 7-3 or 3-0 in the third quarter. You didn't think Washington was going to be 7-5, did you?
No, you did not. No, you did not.
And here's the thing. Their only loss since they were 1-4 was to Minnesota.
Yeah. You gotta give the East divisions credit. Both the East divisions are not only at 500, but all 4 teams are above 500. Denver at Carolina. Carolina with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold beating, and not only beating, but eviscerating the Broncos defense. 23 points. And what did the Broncos have to offer? 10 points, and the defensive line for the Broncos getting frustrated with Russell Wilson on the sideline during the game.
And that's not something that I think is going to fly well because Russell Wilson is not a guy.
Here's a question, gentlemen. No. Here's a question. Is Russell Wilson having a bad year, or is he just showing old age of him being rusty?
That's a very good question that we may not know the answer to this year, but maybe next year.
You know what?
That's actually, Anthony, that's a really good question, actually.
It's crazy as it sounds. It's always easy to blame the quarterback, but you also have to realize who the head coach is. And the thing is that there have been plenty of situations where the head coaches doomed the quarterback. For instance, this year's, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Las Vegas Raiders. Look what Josh McDaniels has done to Derek Carr in that record right there.
McDaniel, they're 4-7.
Yeah, but the thing is, Anthony,
when you're 7, but they should be 7-4.
They should, and with the team that they have, absolutely. All right, next game on the list: Buffalo at Jacksonville. Jacksonville going 4-2 and winning the game.
I don't want to hear.
Baltimore at Jacksonville.
I don't want to hear.
Okay,
but Lamar Jackson is worthy of a contract extension or is an MVP candidate because he does not deserve it.
I want to know something crazy.
And anyone who thinks Lamar Jackson's better than Joe Burrow, sorry.
You know what? Trevor Lawrence just got a quarterback of the month.
I mean, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Trevor Lawrence has actually started to finally show that potential he deserved as the first overall pick of last year's draft.
I'm like I told everyone.
It's nothing special.
Like I told everyone.
But you know what? There's a little bit of glimpses of hope.
Like I've told everyone.
There's glimpses
of
hope.
Give it time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, good point there, Anthony. 29-37, 321, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
That's a stat line you'd expect from the first overall pick.
And look at what he's proven.
Zay Jones, 11 catches, 145 yards.
Zay Jones,
Trevor Lawrence,
were expecting that to happen for.
And that's against the Ravens defense, which is still really good.
Exactly.
And next year, Jacksonville's getting Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
we'll see how effective that is next year. Now, similarly to the Baltimore Jacksonville game, we had the same type of situation. The Chargers finally go for it on 2, and what happens? They win. They actually did it. They actually did it for once. Something you never thought in a million years would happen.
Yeah, but that's almost like a sigh of relief when I think I still can't buy into the Chargers.
No. Chargers are losing to Vegas this week.
No, they're not. The issue with the
Yes,
Chargers
they
that
are.
I
I
have, no,
actually
they're not.
don't disagree with Anthony on that one.
I disagree. The issue with the Chargers,
Of course you do, Alex.
Of course I do. The issue that I have with the Chargers is that the injuries have completely destroyed that team on multiple sides of the ball. Not having Keenan Allen for a long time, not having Mike Williams for the past couple of weeks has certainly doomed that offense to not perform at the level that you should be expecting them to do. However, they're still 6-5. They are still one game away from making a playoff spot. They're tied for 8th with New England. There's still a chance that they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But are they going to make the playoffs? I think I could say no at this moment. Judging with how
Okay.
destructive that AFC conference is. Remember, what did I say at the beginning of the year? 10
That's
wins may not be good enough to make a playoff spot. Look what happens right now. Numbers 5, 6, and 7 are 8-3, 7-4, and 7-4 right now.
There's going to be one team who wins 10 games and misses the playoffs.
Exactly, and that might be the Patriots or the Los Angeles Chargers.
So I know the Raiders aren't making the playoffs. It's clear as day.
No.
But they're 4-7, just won back-to-back games.
On the road.
On the road.
On the road. You got the Chargers this week. Do we see the Raiders going 3 in a row?
Yes.
There's a possibility. I mean, it's a possibility they could pull it.
What do you see the Raiders' final record being?
Probably 7-10. If I have to be
If
honest.
the Raiders go 7-10 or maybe
But
8
let's
and
not
9.
forget the Raiders played well at the end of the season last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
they did. So
if
we'll see.
they go like a 7-10 or an 8-9, is this season all on Josh McDaniels?
Yes.
Or
Yes. Absolutely.
so you still fire McDaniels?
Yes.
No,
the season.
I wouldn't fire him,
I
but I
would.
would say you don't win next year, you're gone.
I mean, the Raiders offense.
The Raiders need a new offensive
The Raiders
line.
were built for the playoffs beforehand. You get Devontae Adams, you expect them to win the division, and what happens?
should
They're
have
not even
never-
close to making a playoff.
Not only that, but you got Chandler Jones on your defensive
Exactly.
line to pair with Max Crosby.
Exactly. This team was
And
already
in
built
the
to make the
draft-
playoffs, and now
In
they
the
have.
draft, I was already looking at the draft. They're
Uh-oh.
projected to get Brian Brzee.
I don't know who that is.
They're gonna reach for somebody. No,
They're going to reach for somebody like they always do.
Yeah, they're gonna overreach.
They're
for
gonna remember Damon Arnett,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's not playing anymore. All right.
Jamarcus Russell.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Rematch
Bolton
of the rematch of the 2018 season. The Kansas City Chiefs against the LA Rams. We don't need to discuss that game. What do we
Rams
expect?
are terrible.
Rams are completely gone without Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford washed. End of the story. San Francisco shutting out the New Orleans Saints at home.
When at best, they can beat anybody. San Francisco.
San Francisco currently
Mhm.
is 7-4, and
and
you know
now in
what?
first place in the NFC.
Stanford, like I've told you,
And their
Jimmy
record-
G saves the day once again.
They did.
Jimmy G is the game time manager, but yes, that defense is really proving themselves. But you know what? It's
They're
similar like
unbelievable.
huh?
They're unbelievable defensively.
Exactly. This team is much better than 7-4, and it's honestly a little disrespectful to see that they are 7-4. But then again, they've always been dealing with injury. Story.
Yeah.
Philadelphia beating Green Bay, and the thing is that we all expected that, but here's the issue: Jordan Love comes into the game replacing an injured Aaron Rodgers, and what does he do? Score. No interceptions, 2 touchdowns,
Okay.
11 plays.
Do you see Aaron Rodgers starting a game? ever
Unfortunately,
again?
it has already been announced that Aaron Rodgers will be starting this week. So,
Oh, great.
but this is a classic issue that the Green Bay Packers have always had. Old franchise quarterback gets injured, throw in the new guy, then the old
Got
franchise
about 1
quarterback
minute.
gets kicked out. Yeah, don't worry, we'll finish up. So it happened with Bart Starr, happened with Brett Favre, and then you know what? It's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love may not be the best answer, but you know what? With what we saw last week, could be a possible answer.
I'll say this too. Philly's gotten better since losing to Washington.
Exactly. And you know
Yes.
what? They're 10-1 best in the league. Last game, Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. It was an
That
okay game.
last call was pass interference.
I would agree with that. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be back with our prediction episode very, very shortly. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription. And with all that being said, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.